And we are back once again. Angular Unfiltered. You see my face, Brandon T. Roberts. If you're gonna get the camera right, there's my name, as I am wanting to do. So yeah, we had a good discussion last week, and we're just keeping it rolling this week. And I have another guest. A lot of you may have known him by his, I guess, what was your nickname. I usually call you Beeman myself. So, but I guess everybody else calls. Some people call you Bram. Is that right? I'm not going to butcher your last name, so you can go ahead and introduce yourself.
Sure. Thanks a lot, Brandon. Yeah, the name in Dutch would be Bram Borggreve, and I'm not going to expect anyone to pronounce it this way. I found Beeman just more easy, and picks easier, and there's an emoji for the B, so why not? And yeah. So yeah, I'm from the Netherlands originally. Lived there for 35 years, and then start moving traveling, just living the digital nomad lifestyle. And now I'm calling from Colombia, where I'm locked up due to COVID.
Oh yeah, I think you're in the same boat with the rest of us as far as that concerned. You got being quote unquote stuck in a particular. Well, I'm at home, so I guess it's a little different for me. But you're used to like traveling all around and everything, so I guess that's an adjustment there.
Definitely. So, but I can't complain. I really love it here. I love the country, love the people. I love my girlfriend, who's with whom I live here. So there's pretty much worse places to be locked up at this point.
Yeah, cool. Yeah. So is the Beeman name is you? That's just it was a kind of convenient nickname there. You don't have any like extra backstory on that, or you just like that? You just like the association there?
No, actually, the association came after the fact. It was Beeman when I was like, I don't know, 15 with a group of friends, and my initials are both a B. So first name, last name, and that's how we got. One of my friends is called Beeman, and the other Weeman with a W. So
okay.
And for the three of us, it's stuck. And I'm not sure, like the other. This is a group of friends, and some of them I still see. But yeah, they're all called me Beeman, and then my online appearance, like GitHub username and Twitter handle. It's like easy if you don't have to think about these things and just pick whatever works, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. That's interesting. So yeah, what you talked about. You talked about moving from the Netherlands, and now you live a nomadic lifestyle. What is? I don't know exactly what that means, but I'm assuming that at least from hearing other people talk about it, is that you don't have a permanent home. Like you just like move from place to place as you like in a regular world, you just move from place to place as you choose to do.
Yep.
Can you say this with your girlfriend or your partner? So how is that? How long have you been doing it, and how does that work?
So I've started and I actually in 2014 I worked on an open source project. I worked on a project for myself to learn Loopback and AngularJS, and it was like 6 o'clock in the morning when I decided to finish it. I was like pulling an all-nighter, getting this stuff on, and at that point I decided, you know what, I might as well just publish this on GitHub. Tag the MIT license to it, and just like whatever, publish it for whoever needs this, whatever. A few months later, I basically ignored the project, and I saw that it had a bunch of stars, and people were actually filing issues and submitting PRs. Like very few, but it was kind of interesting. Like, okay, people are interested in this kind of stuff, so I took it and I made it a bit better. And this got caught by the CTO of a startup in Charlotte, North Carolina. And the CTO reached out to me and was like, hey dude, we see you're working with the stack that we like to use, which is Loopback and Angular, and you're exactly building the stuff that we need. And we happen to have used your starter to build our app, and do you want to come work for us? So this was like, wow.
Okay.
And I had a very steady but not super interesting life. I had my house. I had a very steady job where I have worked for 15 years in computing, and I was like doing my stuff, and this was a whole shift in possibilities. And it's particularly when they said like, you don't have to come and work here, you can work remotely. We're an all distributed team, and this means you can travel and work from wherever you like, as long as time zones line up with the US. And that sounded super interesting. And that was the moment where I gave myself a 5-month trial period in Barcelona, a city that I really loved, and it's relatively close to the Netherlands, Barcelona, Spain. Gave myself a 5-month time period. And after that, when I set back food in my old house, I was like, no, I'm done here. I'm going to sell the stuff. And that's a moment when I set in my emigration. So I emigrated from the Netherlands, but I never immigrated in another country. So you can just basically unsubscribe, as I like to call it in tech terms.
Okay.
I unsubscribed from the Netherlands, and I never registered at any place back. And for the last 5 years, so that's 2015. For the last 5 years, I've been living 3 months at a time in one place, because most countries allow you a 3-month visa, and then I had to move out. And during my travels, I got into Colombia, and I met a girl here, and we fell in love. But it was like kind of these things where it's not really possible. So one of the first times we had a discussion that was difficult was like, I'm going to go away, and we should fall in love, etc. But you can imagine how it goes. And I think within 3 months, I was back here again. And
you can't control that part. You can say what you want, but, or you can say that, but I think the love trumps you on that one.
Definitely, and this is like one of these cliches that people say it like, yeah, you can't control these things. And I was like sturdy. I was like, yeah, but I'm a tough guy. I'm not, but I was saying it, and I was like, I'm gonna move away. No, we kept on coming back, and she had the same. Like, she didn't want a guy that was just out there half of the year. She just wanted a guy that's there for her. But yeah, long story short, I kept coming back to Colombia. I came back here like my maximum, so I would max out my 2 times 3 months, so 6 months here, 6 months, and then go to the Netherlands, and then like travel, go to the US for conferences, and I've been to Asia. And then last year we basically decided that we want to do travel together.
Okay.
So for that, it would be handy if she would have remote work as well. So she's now working for my company and learning how to be a software developer. So I'm her mentor, if you will, and we hope that she can land like a development job as well, that allows us both to travel and that we can both like move along.
I think that'd be pretty nice.
Yeah, that's the eventual goal. And then 2020 came along and basically put on hold everything we had. So but so this is still the long-term vision.
Yeah. So what you're saying is you're getting a lot more time for mentoring together, and the traveling part is still on hold for now.
Yeah. We've been in Peru for 6 weeks during Christmas and New Year's, which was awesome. And also to test if it works, like traveling together, that's always like, you can be in a relationship with someone, but doing a travel together is different. You have different challenges to work on. But it was super nice, and it really changed my life. Not living in the bubble that is the Netherlands. Netherlands is a super small country. It's super well organized. There's people with issues, but it's all very much, as I like to call them, luxury problems. People complain about stuff that's not really, how do you say, life impacting, if you will, and that's very much different in other parts of the world. And Colombia is an example of it, where like socioeconomic differences are huge, and seeing that with your own eyes and living in a country like that really changes the vision you have and the things that are important, and like seeing how privileged you actually are. Because they tell you in the Netherlands like you're a privileged guy, but if you don't know what's the difference, what's out there, if you only see it on the television or in movies, that's kind of remote. So I'm really, really happy that I pulled the trigger in 2015 and that I made the move. And
okay. Yeah, I think we call those first world problems over here, but yes, that I think that the saying is the same there. So
Yeah.
you said 2015. So you've been using. I'm gonna guess you've been using. You started in Angular JS and moved to Angular, or like what's your? How long did you start Angular JS? A long time before Angular, or where did you go from there?
I started my development. So I got into development accidentally. I started out as a support engineer at the university and helping people. And then I rolled into managing Windows networks and all that kind of jazz. So doing Windows application development. And then I moved into server development. And then at a certain point, my manager saw that I was like scripting away my own job. So I would build scripts for everything, mostly written in Bash and Python.
That's what we tend to do. You see something there that you don't necessarily want to be doing all the time manually. So you write something to make so you can move on to something else, right?
Exactly. And those scripts will get more advanced. I love doing like unintended installation. So you can just boot up a server and have it install automatically, and I would build a web interface for it. And at some point, my manager said, "Hey, we got a spot free on the development team, and it seems like you really like this kind of stuff. So if you like, I could just switch," which was great. And that's about 29. We're talking about like 11 years ago. This is like the first time I professionally did development. I had something in my university, but that's like Java 1.3, which was, in my opinion, quite terrible experience to develop on Oracle databases. And so I did a lot of PHP development and Java development. And at some point, I got interested in doing a bit, because in these days, we didn't have front end and back end. It was just like web development or desktop development, right? We didn't have the whole full stack. I guess I was full stack at that point.
Yeah, I used to do PHP development also, and like I said, back then it was you did everything in PHP as far as the front end part of the app and the like database talking to that, and you just served it all up at once. But before we started splitting them up, or at least before I started splitting them up that way for work. So
yeah, totally. And I got rolled into it where at some point, so I used Cake PHP, which is a Ruby on Rails clone for PHP. And they had a jQuery integration, and people were like, "Hey, can you build me a dropdown? Because I got a dropdown here, or a Ajax search." So that got me rolling into doing some JavaScript, but I still really didn't like JavaScript. And then I found Angular, and I know the classic demo was where you could type in something and it would AngularJS. You could type in something and it would reappear automatically. And you could just define it. And I was blown away. And this is where I started to implement this in my app. And at some point, and this is where I would start looking into Loopback, at some point I saw the benefit, I guess, of writing JavaScript front end and back end, because then you only have to worry about one language. So it was kind of complicated to wrap my head around doing PHP in the back end, this new JavaScript stuff in the front end. And I figured I might as well do it. And Node.js was the next hot thing at that time. It was like 2013, 2014. And so that when I did Angular and did a lot of Egghead courses at that time. John Lindquist was doing Angular at Egghead, and I was really, really amazed by its powers. And so then Angular 2 at that time was announced.
Angular 2, yes.
Angular 2.
Formerly known as.
Exactly. And I was hesitant. I was hesitant about doing TypeScript. I was hesitant about modules. Still am today, but guess we all are a bit.
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm right there with you. I was when they said they were going to do TypeScript, and well, at one point they had that custom flavor of TypeScript, so that kind of went by the wayside. But I thought that it was going to be more like AngularJS in that way, where you didn't have to have like a build pipeline and you could just drop Angular onto the page. But like I said, and TypeScript came along and they jumped on board with that pretty early. So it was definitely a shift in how we were doing things back then.
Yeah. And one of the things that really sold me initially was because I started looking at it and started, well, at least give it a try. I was still using Loopback back in the days. And Loopback had a great SDK package where it would take the Swagger definition and it would generate AngularJS libraries for you. So you don't have to write your own HTTP controllers or anything, you can just generate it on the back end and you have a user object on the front end. So they were quite ahead of their time. This thing didn't exist for Angular 2. And at some point, some guy from the community built it. And this was for me like, okay, I'm going to give it a shot. And I found Angular CLI, and I found it so powerful that I could just type in commands and have it generate the structure for me. Because this is also Angular JS. We had like John Papa style guide, and there were a few others, but there was not a style guide. There was not a correct way to do things.
Right.
And Angular 2 really solved this. And this is also where I decided to more actively participate in open source. So I went on to triage bugs for people on the Angular CLI repo. At some point, Hans Larsen invited me for their Slack, like, hey, we have a Slack of people here.
That's how it happens. You start working on GitHub and fixing bugs. They're like, hey, I see you over there. Just come on in the room and come talk with us a little closer. That's how it starts. Yeah, and it's super nice, and I've always liked helping out people with stuff, basically sharing my knowledge, and. So this was a great opportunity, and I converted the apps in the startup to Angular, 2 at that point was still called Angular 2, and migrated it all to Stacklets. Then I stopped working with them, and that was around 2017, and I really set out to start building my own stuff because I wanted to focus on DevTools and education. Okay.
And this is what I still do today. I really like to fund my projects by doing contracting. So I'm in the lucky position where I know enough people to get by with nice contracting. Yeah. Mostly it's DevTools, but some client application, and I really prefer the DevTools side. For me, it's easier to understand another developer than it is to have like building another Excel clone, if you will.
Yeah. So what kind of projects have you done? I know since you're in Colombia, are you doing anything specific there? As far as programs maybe you're doing there, and then we can talk about like other work stuff that you're doing.
Yeah, so one of the things I started here in Colombia, so when I was here, and the developer community here is huge. I think it's hard to be on tech Twitter, on JavaScript, like web tech Twitter, and not see the Medellin people, because they're like vocal. There's meetups here that have like 100 participants on a Saturday morning. It's huge, and I've been part of them, and I've been helping around as a mentor, and I really felt like I want to do something myself, but I never knew what. Then in 2018, in the summer, I was at JS Camp in Barcelona, and I met a few students from Code Your Future in Glasgow. And Code Your Future is a non-profit organization that helps refugees land a job as a developer. So they give free developer training. No questions asked. Well, no questions asked. You have to be a refugee and you have to be interested in it. But they don't take a fee for it, and they deliver people to have jobs, which is an amazing cause. And I immediately made the click, like, okay, I want to do the same in Colombia. I want to give something back to community here. So I sat down with the organizer of Code Your Future in London. This guy happens to be from Venezuela, and Venezuela, Colombia are next to each other. They're as similar, you could say, as like Canada and the US. It's like very much the same, divided by a border, speak the same language, have very similar habits and values. And he was super excited, and we managed to pull it off. And I gathered around a lot of volunteers that helped me do it. And we graduated 9 students in the end of 2019.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah, that's super nice. More of half of them now working as a developer. Most of them really like it.
So you can't speak for the other half. They may be like, it's okay, but it pays the bill, so which is completely fine too.
Yeah, totally. You can't be passionate about it but it's super nice. And the beauty here is that it really has a knock-on effect. So if one person in the family has a well-paying job, this changes lives for everybody in the family. So it's been really rewarding to do this, and really nice to give something back, basically lending my privilege to people that don't have access to it. And so this is super nice. This is the main thing I do besides working. So it takes about like a day a week, I say, having meetings and arranging stuff. But
Yeah,
like
cool.
so many nice people that I met, and like the knockoff effect, other people see it and they want to do the same.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so open invitation. Somebody's interested in making their own branch of Coach Your Future or want to know more, feel free to reach out, and I'm happy to share stuff.
Yeah, cool. Definitely. I can definitely agree with that. That paying into those projects always pays you more back because it's just like the people you impact and the things that you work on. So definitely, I'll link that in the show notes, but y'all can definitely check that out because I think it's an awesome project that you're doing there.
Cool. Cheers, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So other stuff you've been working on, like I see you doing work in open source. We do NX at Narwhal, so you come by and could add contributions there. What are you doing for like work these days? And then we're talking about like your open source stuff.
I'm working on a few open source things, mainly trying to scratch my own back. So
Mm-hmm.
working on things that I think need to exist. This is, I think, another nice place I'm in where I can basically figure out what I want to build and start
Mm-hmm.
working on it. So one of the things I have is Kickstart UI, which is a UI framework for Angular. It's not the only one. There's a ton out there.
There's one
There,
popping up every week, but it's fine. We need more ideas and things out there. So
I think it does some things differently where it's a bit of more of a high level thing. It's super opinionated. It just makes a
mm-hmm.
few decisions for you. And it allowed me to really quickly build stuff without having to worry about implementing a button another time or a card. So I built it to build Kickstart proper, if you will, which
Mm-hmm.
is a big monolith application where I pour in all the ideas that I have. At some point, I'm going to publish it. I promise. I'm going to show it around, but it's not done yet. But this is really interesting. And then NX is on the backbone. NX is basically a big enabler for doing all of this stuff,
Mm-hmm.
for really cleanly separating out my app, allowing me to build a huge platform, a huge monolith without having without being hurt of it being all together. Like
Yeah.
if you have like a clean separation of concerns, and like for instance the build tools that make it way faster.
Mm-hmm.
I have NX repo with like 30 to 50 libraries, and some of them have nothing to do with each other, and they live peacefully next to each other. That's great, and this is why I contribute back to it. And also here, again, to scratch my own back. I want to write tutorials, and I like to just provide some easy commands. And if they don't exist, gotta shoot in a pull request so they do exist.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I saw you had. I saw when you shared out that document for Kickstart UI, and I thought that was pretty cool. So I hope when you do get a chance to publish it, that a lot of people will check it out. And also, like staying on this NX train, I saw you had published another thing for NX and Go support, and that's something that isn't NX, like I said, supports it, but nobody had gone like the step further in writing a plugin for it. So what was your like? I guess you were doing that to scratch your own itch, but what are your plans for that?
So the reason I built it is that I'm right now working with NStudio team on improving the native script playground, which is an awesome web environment where you can build. They have a drag and drop interface powered by Monaco. It's all built in Angular. The backend is Go. And when Nathan and I sit down, Nathan is also a big fan of Narwhal's NX toolkit, and he was the first one to write an external plugin called XFlat, allowing to run native script apps in NX. And we were like, yeah, there's only one possible solution to doing this. The end goal is have it all in like one mono repo and have all reap all the benefits. And this is where I set out to build it. And I've been amazed at how fast I was able to pull it off. And it really shows that NX is built to extend. I mean, we're getting into like an NX promo call almost.
Yeah, pretty much. I see you got I didn't say it at the beginning, but you got the Narwhal shirt on, Narwhal Prime shirt on. You're rocking NX plugins. You're like fully integrated at this point.
Totally. No, but it's really making my life easier. And so I built a plugin on a weekend. So I try to do pet projects on Saturday and Sunday. So I set out Saturday. I'm not going to do like work, but I'm going to build cool stuff. And at some moment, I was like, let's try and give a go at this Go thing. And it's really been 3 hours or something, and I had a working proof of concept. And
wow.
it's been pretty amazing. Now, Go's toolchain is super simple, so you don't have to worry about like TypeScript where you have to spread over like TS configs or it all ties together. It's just like you have a file, you have a compiler, and it works generally.
Okay. Yeah, I remember just on the side note, in NativeScript, they had in Studio, they had announced a partnership between them and in Studio. So they were going to like be the new shepherd of the project, I guess. So that was exciting news that they were going to continue that work going forward. And you said you being involved with that. I think it's pretty cool with the playgrounds and I guess what are the playgrounds I'm not that familiar with them, but what do those allow you to do?
So the playground allows you to use the web interface to build the mobile app, and without having to install the whole iOS or Android toolchain on your system locally, they give you a QR code and you download an app from the App Store or Android Play Store. You scan the QR code and you see live refreshes on your device.
Okay.
What happens in the website? So you drag a button onto the canvas or inside the code editor, basically, and this button instantly reappears. So it's really a powerful way to quickly prototype apps. And NativeScript by itself, I've always been interested by their proposition. Like it's another beast than Ionic, but it has its own use cases. It's really having a nice JavaScript access layer to the native APIs. And they provide Angular, like classically, Vue right now, Svelte, and React as well. So any framework flavor, it's framework agnostic development.
Okay.
And Studio is really going to push that forward. And to the extent where they're going to propose NativeScript as an OpenJS Foundation standard.
Oh, wow.
In order to have a standard layer. And there's some super exciting things going on. Right now, they're modernizing the whole stack, so it's using the latest JavaScript stuff. But Playground, so I'm going to revive it right now, build it in an NX mono repo. And at some point, hopefully, we can open source parts of it or make it all open source. I'm not sure how far we can go with this, but this is like some point on the horizon. It would be very cool if we had an online open source Angular powered web editor that people just can use, reference, and build upon. Yeah,
that would definitely be pretty cool. I've known Nathan for a while, or met him a few times, and he's super nice guy, and definitely passionate about NativeScript. So I'm excited to see what's going to happen there.
Yeah, I totally agree. It's in good hands. It was at Telerik, and I'm not sure about the details. I'm not familiar enough, but I kind of felt like it didn't get the love that it needed for the last couple of years. So it's really nice to see this project revive and basically get some more attention to it.
Good. Yeah, definitely. Well, people should know that the address for that, but yeah, definitely check out NativeScript if you haven't already. Check out XPlat, NX. See if you want to build something cool there, and I'm pretty sure you'll probably be around for that.
Any questions? People can just reach out to me on Twitter, and I'd love to share something or even write a tutorial if that helps.
Okay.
Just got any ideas?
Yeah, I saw you just recently write a tutorial about using Nest.js or something like that for your in a workspace.
Yeah, correct. I'm trying to share the things that I've learned over the past few years, and I try to do it in such a way that I can point clients or people I work with to a reference guide, so I don't have to jump on a call and explain it to them. So this is probably my plug for the day. Next plug, I'm plugging a lot of things.
Hey, it's fine. That's what we're here for. We're here to plug people so they can get their plugs in. I'm all for it. Go right ahead.
Awesome. dev.to/Beeman. That's where my blog lives, and I'm doing a series right now on how to build APIs with Nest and GraphQL. It's a 5-part series where you go from zero to having a Nest Narwhal project, an NX project. Hosted on Heroku. So that's the goal. It's running GraphQL. So if you're new to that, that's interesting as well. You can give a shot at doing GraphQL. And I'm super interested to hear if people want to see other stuff. So an obvious one is build the same thing with Go. So that's like already on the pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
Having a Go API and an X and building a GraphQL API with that. But I'm super interested to hear what people like to see, and I'd like to write it up and get it out there.
Okay. Well, yeah, people should definitely reach out to you on Twitter to get more about that. I think that's probably where we'll stop right there. Unless you got anything else you want to plug, because here's your time that you can plug what you like.
I think we're all there, man. I really appreciate the time.
Yeah, I appreciate for coming on. I say that I don't say that lightly, because I ask people to, if they want to come on. People, you've been around the community for a long time, done a lot of cool stuff, and it's glad that you were able to come on. But like I said, if you're in the Angular community and you want to come on also and talk about what you're doing, or if you want to get on and rant about stuff, that's cool too. But like I said, thank you for coming on, and we will see y'all next time. Bye.
Cheers.